Welcome to the overview of the three main business scenarios that Diagnostic Manager addresses. Use this information as a guide, but I'm sure there are many adjustments that can be made for our different customers. So here's the problem. First, the phone rings, and it's a business user. They're having a problem with performance of their SharePoint implementation, and they want it fixed immediately. So the administrator scratches his head, and whether they're dedicated to SharePoint or managing SharePoint as a part of their larger job responsibilities, they don't actually know where the issue begins. It could be the browser, it could be the network, it could be SQL. Now it's time to investigate. But how do they investigate? Well, they take a look and they call a group of people. They call their buddy over in networking, their friend in the database team, and they ask them to help identify the issue. Well, interestingly enough, everyone says, well, it's not my problem, and the administrator has no way to prove it. Well, with Diagnostic Manager in place, the administrator actually has all of that information at their fingertips and can go directly to the cause and troubleshoot. That's the main problem that Diagnostic Manager is facing. Let's talk about the three business scenarios. So here, there are three main scenarios. We have supporting new and critical business initiatives, troubleshooting SharePoint, and data center transformation and consolidation. And we're going to go into more detail on these three. But another thing here I want to say is that Diagnostic Manager can be combined with all Metalogic products to ensure the health of an environment. And why this is important is because it could eliminate some of the initial frustrations of installation of our products. When it's really not the product that has the issue, it's the SharePoint environment is set up in a different way than we were expecting. We all know all of the different variations. Now I'll go into more detail about each one of these business scenarios. So first, we have supporting new and critical business initiatives. And we all know that SharePoint has been around for over 10 years, and organizations are becoming more and more dependent, not only on collaborating around documents, but also using SharePoint infrastructure to support key critical business workflows. Customers are spending money to develop solutions for their business users, and those users in turn expect performance equivalent to, any other system, and especially the cloud systems that they now have access to. The key here is, how does the IT organization know what the performance is? And not only that it can avoid the phone call we discussed before, but make sure that the user experience for the end user is good. It's a great time to ask, what is the business impact of SharePoint issues and outages? AKA, how much money will you lose when your operations teams are diverted to investigate and possibly troubleshoot a complaint? It's good here too for this business scenario to highlight the automation of alerts and the visibility that all of our graphs provide across networking, across SQL, and of course, a key differentiator, the page performance and web part application performance. All right, so troubleshooting SharePoint. How hard can this be? Well, this is one of the core areas of how Diagnostic Manager has been able to assist IT organizations. I mean, as you know, from the central administration of SharePoint and other automated functions within SharePoint itself, you are managing the presentation of websites, which is through IIS, and the storage of content, which is in the SQL database, all from that single location. SharePoint is very complex in the spectrum of systems that it is tied into and that it controls automatically without you having to worry about it, good and bad. So what happens is, once there is a business user complaint or an outage, it's really hard to determine the root cause of this investigation. It could have just been the browser and the settings there. Could be the network and there was some latency at that specific time. Maybe it's the SharePoint servers and they're out of memory. Maybe it could even be SharePoint itself and it's on a version that's having issues. Or it could be those specific applications or web parts that the organizations have spent time and money to build. So how do we know? Well, Diagnostic Manager allows you to view all of this information from a central location, and if you wanted to go back to a specific point of time, you're able to do that, and you're able to look at networking, SQL, page performance, all at that specific time to better be able to identify what the real issue is. So, here it's really great to ask, how much time does it take and how many people are involved in troubleshooting an issue? Because I can tell you, in a larger organization, it's going to be one person from each team, if not more, looking at their own performance monitors. So again, if that central SharePoint administrator has access to all of the information, they can pinpoint what that issue is coming from and be able to guide the troubleshooting to be much quicker than it has been in the past. Finally, we have one that is a little bit more of a niche. However, our Content Matrix and Control Point products are playing heavily in this area: data center transformation and consolidation. So what we're talking about here is a customer who's even in their own environment upgrading servers, or they're moving to a hosted environment and or designing a hybrid solution. They're going to promise, as an IT organization, the same level of performance to their business users. But how can they prove it? And trust me, the business users are going to complain no matter what the actual performance is. So if you install Diagnostic Manager on both sides of the equation, and I'll just stop and say a footnote here, Office 365 connectivity to be able to look into the performance of a tenant will be available at the end of the year of 2015. You'll be able to see on both sides of the equation what the performance is, and with the built-in reporting that Diagnostic Manager provides, you'll be able to say to the business users, hey, I know you think it's slower, but here are the performance metrics. So again, a real key area for all of the Metalogix products that Diagnostic Manager can support. In summary, Diagnostic Manager provides great insight into an organization's infrastructure, but Diagnostic Manager differentiates itself from other similar systems by being purpose-built for SharePoint, identifying groups of farms as one entity, and providing insight into that page and web part performance that no one else can do.